Hello, I am Özge Selen Duran. I am an instructor at Bilkent University, Department of Architecture. I have had my bachelor's degree at 1999 and master's degree at 2001 from Metro Faculty of Architecture, Department of Architecture. Within more than 20 years of experience in my professional practice, I have been mostly involved and specialized on multidisciplinary architectural project process and integrated design management. In order to reflect this experience to academical domain and to search for the possibilities in integrating two domains in the execution of architectural practice, I have started my PhD at the same faculty on this topic. Since 2016, I have been continuing in the academia teaching third grade design architecture studio and professional practice courses as well as integrated design management studio. Today I will be presenting a brief research about one of the current discussions in the field, that is the rethinking design management, which I have prepared under the supervision of my advisor Ali Murat Tanyer. Before going into a discussion of rethinking design management and before being able to propose or open new alternative paths and approaches for design management, we need to briefly reconsider two important components, one of which is the design and the other the design management. So, as it has been widely known, design used to be considered as the product of the architect, which results from his or her own creativity, experience, and know how. However, in today's complex and synchronous project environments, the contributions and even early involvement of the multidisciplinary team becomes inevitable. Furthermore, this situation even changed the basic perception of the design process to be converted into a new definition of the output of several different inputs and contributions of the multidisciplinary team involving synchronously in the process. However, this new situation of early involvement of different parties acting and integrating in the same project process to develop the building design project makes the architect as the main stakeholder to deal and face with several conflicting requirements and changing priorities. Leaving the process as it is resulted in a lot of undesired consequences such as delays, reworks, idle waiting hours, and etc. Thus, the question arose like the design needs to be transformed into a manipulated and thus managed process rather than an automated process as it used to be. Returning back to these discussions, the researchers have tried to reveal the essentials and common aspects of different design processes. For example, Gera and McNeil briefly described the design as a human activity and thus a process rather than a mere product. Then they continued to state the complexity of being able to understand those activities carried out by designers. Likewise, in their research, also Ballard and Koskela has made a classification for the design processes and classified the regular design process in three ways. As first being a process of converting inputs to outputs, second as a flow of materials and information through space and time, and third as a process of generating value for customers. In continuation with such important researches, we can look Girard and Robin for their studies on design and design processes, in which they have redefined the idea of design to be considered as a problem-solving process. As it is obvious that these interacting factors are independently acting on the process, bringing different conflicting and even confronting requirements with different and changing priorities. They all have different time slots to affect and different densities of their effects. Thus, the consensus on the design's transformation to a manipulated process started to arise in the studies. Proceeding from design to project, the studies displayed again the project's necessity to be treated and perceived as a process. Girard and Robin defined the project as the intention to satisfy a design objective. Also, the design cannot be considered to be a problem-solving process, but rather a creative or innovative design process, and the project is not structured by the activities involved. That is why other second or third reactions needed to be applied to design processes to manipulate all of the contents and participants throughout the process, which might be perceived as a management. Girard and Robin also continued in the same approach as stating that the project manager does need to decide on an appropriate organization to encourage the maximum collaboration among designers, which is called in general the design environment. This transformation again is due to the change in the project environments. In explanation, the project environments recently being composed of fewer participants have now become complex and continuously exchanging domains that occur synchronously in full interaction and collaboration. The two left-hand side illustrations also reveal this change in the project environments. Another brief illustration displaying today's complex project environments with those multidisciplinary project participants in dynamic collaboration can be also seen here. So all of these bring us the question of why do we have to manage the design? Because of involving different disciplines, because of composing conflicting priorities, or because of the participants who are independently acting on the same domain? Design is a difficult process to manage. It involves thousands of decisions, sometimes over a period of years, with numerous interdependencies, within a highly uncertain environment, Akbekli and Easton stated. Furthermore, these interdependencies and independent involvements of different factors sometimes conflict and cause undesirable delays and reworks throughout the process. Projects are often behind the schedule, over the budget, and experience poor in labor supplies and resources. This results in clashes and disagreements with the client and other involved parties. The process needs to be perceived as a structured and to some extent standardized process, which is run through certain methodologies by utilization of developed maps and tools. To manage a structured design process, the management process must be structured as well, and the two such structures should correspond. No matter technical, administrative, or authoritative, the design is based on every type of information. The information to be translated, to be converted, processed, referenced, and coordinated. Also, these process data, the information, then should be managed under the so-called design management system with the utilization of some information management techniques in order to achieve the desired product quality, the value within the mentioned constraints. The need for specialization requires several members to work on the same project, revise the design environment to a multidisciplinary design environment, which requires a much more comprehensive, systematic, and adjustable management approach. Despite its importance, less research time and effort has been dedicated to the management of the design process than to the production management and project management in general. Therefore, we need to understand the design management approaches in contemporary application. The linear process of existing project management tools does not permit the full potential for the design activity to produce its best results, as information necessary for the development of concepts and details will become only available at a future stage. Compared with design teams, design companies, enterprises, design data management is relatively simple, purely personal behavior for a designer. But the work of managing design data for design teams and enterprises is clearly more difficult because it involves many human blocking factors, Murat stated. This brings us the importance and inevitability of rethinking design management. Project design management not only consists of allocating resources but also in stimulating collaboration among the people involved in the project in order to increase the performance of the design teams. Since all of these approaches and methodologies focus on the already utilized previous tools and techniques of close or related disciplines, the classification headings or the topics that they take into account have always stayed similar and limited with those of the project and construction management. However, building design processes have highly interconnected and interdependent aspects catalyzed by human behaviors and reflexes to affect the overall process and thus making it hard and different to be managed by literal systematic techniques. Savanovich also revealed that problems in the management of many building projects resulted in flaws and additional costs, and he continued listing some important aspects as the following. The most important decisions are made during the conceptual phase of design, even though not all relevant information is available then. Some relevant disciplines are involved too late in the process. As the complexity and scale of design process of buildings increases, traditional approaches no longer suffices. Cooperation between design disciplines is unsatisfactory. Better organization of the design process is necessary. In order to achieve such a collaboration, the correspondences, data exchanges, and documentary flows needs to be planned beforehand with certain check valves to control the proceeding to next phase and enabling the managers to monitor and revise if needed the full process management. Nowadays, communication in the AEC industry both necessitates collaboration among distant participants, exchanging remote project data, as well as interactive communication tools utilizing IT integration in an efficient way. Traditionally, for any building design project process, meetings required to be held physically between team members and other stakeholders, which also consumes a lot of time, effort, and money, especially for remote teams. Today's design environment, on the contrary, mostly enables everybody to hold these meetings remotely via web-based tools and online media, eliminating the obligations of disadvantages of many arrangements of physical gathering. IT technologies especially increases the advantages of utilizing synchronous collaboration among especially geographically dispersed design team members. In continuation with these discussions on the way of rethinking design management, a recent study has been held in spring semester of 2020 with graduate students in a specific module to search for creating new innovative process maps. In contrast to different approaches arose from different backgrounds of design managers, conflicting priorities, a fresh and objective perspective has been required from the students to be reflected to design management approaches. The topic, the problem, objective, and output can be briefly displayed here. In brief, the proposal required from the students was the rethinking of design management in consideration with the research theories behind within the components of the design process concerning requirements of the collaborators as a new format of proposed process map of management with an architectural approach to be presented as a poster. The results generally proposed 5D superimposed process maps, including different constraints of the design process, which has been followed by different paths, loops, check valves, and control points. Furthermore, subclusters of iterative secondary management domains have been integrated in these maps to serve for the overall management to improve the whole design process. Two selected examples of the process maps are given in Figure 1 and Figure 2. Figure 1 specifically taking the project stages as a base process ground line, and the 5 key headings of design process management have been integrated spatially according to their relevance for each stage. At the same time, different levels of involvement of individual parties and data have been superimposed to this process ground line. There have been certain milestones also placed as check valves to control and revise the decisions before proceed. And lastly, different color codes continuously repeats to highlight essential problematic risks and their solution keys with respect to relevant project stage, related management heading, and respected tool. So this process map reflects a multidimensional but also a sequential way of process management. In the second example, whereas, the process map has been developed in a combination of three important clusters, all of which have been connected and integrated through the flow of process management. Iterative management tools of planning, monitoring, executing are proposed as compulsory and permanent throughout the process. However, these have been surrounded and supported by different aspects of project environment, which has been affecting the process in the reality. These three interdependent but related clusters have also been superimposed in between in order to emphasize their dependencies and required control points in order to proceed efficiently. Another innovation in this process map is that it proposes different paths throughout the process, which enables the design manager to control, adapt, and manage that specific project process, but still keeping the standards to ease the design process management. As a conclusion and potentials for further studies, we need to remember once again the study of Hegazi in 2001, revealing the percentages of data and communication exchanges taking place within a complex project team and their major effects in the overall. The importance of design management and rethinking it as a preliminary approach in today's multidisciplinary project environments becomes inevitable. Therefore, this paper intends to raise the importance of design management approaches in each and every project executed in today's complex project environments without being an alternative or an additional factor to be preferred. Furthermore, after justifying this unquestioned need for a total design management approach within the consideration of today's recent situations of remote design environments, current methodologies should be reconsidered. Integration of IT tools with 5D superimposed mapping approaches should be utilized for this purpose. Especially for a smoother transition of the traditional conventional project environment, these maps with simpler interfaces could have been utilized as a guide. On the other hand, for most of the project occasions among today's complex project environments, the integration of these maps with IT tools, controlling, monitoring, and managing the design process with technology support and utilization would act in a much better way. Thank you for listening.